Welcome to the Show Me the Way podcast. I am your host, Andrea Miller, and I'm so excited to bring this show to you. Show Me the Way is a podcast dedicated to exploring the journeys of those who have faced adversity and found themselves on unexpected paths. We will have meaningful, thoughtful conversations about challenges we have faced and how we discovered and forged new direction. Prepare to be inspired and to uncover your own strength as you listen to relatable and motivating stories. Life has a way of twisting and turning, and we often need a fresh perspective to understand how to navigate. Let's show each other the way. Today's episode truly embodies the heart of the Show Me the Way podcast. What began as a space to share my son's journey and the perspective he has given my husband, our older son, and me has grown into a platform where anyone can share their challenges, pivots, lessons, and growth. This week's guest is Pastor Jean Overman. As I often say, when you know, like, and trust someone, the best connections come through referrals. And that's exactly how Jean and I met. A networking partner suggested we connect, and while I wasn't sure where our conversation would lead, it blossomed into something truly beautiful. Jean so eloquently shares her life story from growing up in a large family, raising sons, and building a long career, to navigating retirement, the loss of her husband, becoming a grandmother, facing health challenges, and ultimately following her calling into ministry. Pastor Jean is remarkable. She radiates joy, faith, and deep gratitude for every day and every opportunity to serve. This conversation felt like a true divine appointment, and I can't wait for you to hear Jean's story and experience the love she so effortlessly exudes. Welcome back to the Show Me the Way podcast. I'm looking forward to speaking with today's guest, Pastor Jean Overman. I'm very blessed to meet new people all the time. If you've been following, you know that I love to talk to people and I'm an extreme extrovert. I love hearing their stories and, of course, learning from them so that I can continue to grow as well. And this podcasting experience has been a great opportunity for me to do just that. Many of my guests are those that I've known for years, but some of them are people I've been referred to. So today's guest is a direct referral from one of my networking partners. I speak about my podcast quite a bit during our meetings, and after hearing about it, he suggested I reach out to Jean. He said she would be a fabulous guest. And after just having a few words with her before we clicked record here, I know that to be the case. So I cannot wait to hear her speak to us. I'll admit that I'm going to be learning a lot about Jean through today's interview with you as the listeners as well. But I strongly believe in the importance of referrals. And if you know, like, and trust somebody, you take a lot of what they say and you move forward with it. So I will allow Jean the ability to share more details about her life and challenges she's faced and or pivots she has taken. But based on what my connection told me, I know that we will all learn and take great perspective with us. So thank you so much for being a guest and welcome to the show, Jean.
Oh, thank you, Andrea. Thank you for inviting me. And James and Anna are my children. So I'm very thankful that he did allow us to meet one another. So I'm just excited. I am Pastor Jean Overman. I'm a mother of three sons that are adult men, a couple of amazing grandsons, and a Gabby girl that's my granddaughter. And when we were talking earlier, I didn't share my mom's 86 and doing very well and supports us in the work of the food pantry that I'll talk about later. So I'm just so excited to get the opportunity to share some of my lived experiences. And I consider myself a community wisdom carrier because I remember when things were different. And I love sharing what we look like when we really just allow one another to live in the light and love that we all have, and something very special that we receive from God. So again, thank you, Andrea, for allowing me a chance to just speak to your amazing listeners, because I believe that everything is so intentional. And when we get to talk and we get to listen, then we get to grow. So thank you.
Of course. And everything you just said is exactly what I want to do with this podcast. So
Oh,
thank
wonderful.
you. Thank you. You're right. There's a reason that we met and there's a reason you're on this show. And I already written some notes and you only spoke for 3 seconds. So I know we're going to get a lot of great nuggets and great inspiration from you this morning. You as listeners know, the reason I started this podcast was because my youngest son has Duchenne muscular dystrophy. And when we found out about that, oh my gosh, almost 11 years ago, our world flipped upside down, and we just really changed our perspective and how we move forward with life. My husband and I both, ever since that day, I can't even remember the person I was before it and how I used to get through life, because now I just think so differently. Actually, just this past weekend, I took my son on a trip, just the two of us, which I was reluctant to do because he's not a little kid anymore, and he takes some effort to move around and transfer, but we did great. And I just thought, this is because of him. It gives me the perspective that life is short. Go after your joy. Like you said, shine your light. I believe that God has a path for us all. And I think we need to remember to look out for what He's set forth. And I just think we were able to take advantage of that this weekend. So that's a perfect example of it's like new perspective when you go through challenges. And so I'm really excited to hear some of the things that you've been through in life, and how, yeah, how you can share your wisdom. I love that community wisdom with us. So thank you so much for being on the show. And with that, we were talking about how she has a lot of siblings, so she's used to speaking. And I don't know, I only have two siblings, but I never shut up. Probably because the three of us always competed to talk to our parents. So I will stop for a moment and let you share a little bit. And I always tell people there's really no script. So you can talk on whatever's on your heart. Sometimes it is a major point in time, like what my husband and I went through. Sometimes it's a lot of different things along your path of life. So just whatever's on your heart, whatever you feel like you are nudged to say today, we'll go from there, and we'll just have a great discussion and give our listeners some great nuggets to take forward with them today.
Okay, so the one thing that we had talked about earlier was my stint at Ford Motor Company. I was there for 30 years, and in 2008, I retired. And I thought, okay, ministry. I was working, driving the church bus, Sunday school teacher, and God called me to a higher calling where I began to speak from the pulpit and I became a pastor. So that work was so fulfilling, and I love it today. But I began to look at the people in the pews and think about those outside of the doors that never came in. And how could we service them? And in 2008, that's when the economy shifted and there was a great need. So we started a food pantry right in our church basement, and people started to come in. So that was a fulfilling for our church members, right? You're getting to touch people. You're feeling like you're the hands of God and you're doing all these wonderful things. But I looked around our community and I thought, serving food is one thing, but what is the real need in the city of Inkster? And it wasn't long after that the governor dissolved our entire school district and we didn't have local schools. So after that, we began to say, how can we support children with education? Because the kids that live here don't have mass transportation. They don't have the means to go to a school miles away and someone pick them up after school. So we said, let's bring education to the neighborhood. So we started Camp Inspire, and we began to partner with Schoolcraft College and Bosch and others in the United Way. And we began to service at that new level. So not only did we do food, and we said, no, you have to have food with dignity. So we got the building next door with partners like Gleaners and Forgotten Harvest. And we have a client choice food pantry that has been in operation since 2008. And today, as we sit here, there's a line down the street, although there's construction happening, where our families will get the opportunity to go in and to shop. And they'll actually be able to shop themselves like at a grocery store. And I pride ourselves on making sure ours is like Westbourne Food Market or Trader Joe's, where you're just not getting a whole bunch of canned goods, but there's fresh produce and good meat and choices, because we do have a population that have restricted diets. So we have halal, and we are partners to have kosher with our friends from Yada Ezra. So I'm very grateful for the work that I had the opportunity to do here at Operation Refuge. Whether it's taking a group of kids, we went in March to the United Nations and they presented with Nobel Peace Prize winner Rebecca Irby. These are the things that we're doing from the city of Inkster. And I am so grateful for that shift, because when you think about shifting at 52 years old, people are like, why aren't you going to Florida? Why don't you do the snowbird thing, right? And that makes all
Right.
the sense in the world. And coming from a family of 14, you thought you had to get a chance to speak. So you're going to have to stop me. and a preacher. So I'll be like 3 more minutes, Andre, 3 more minutes, Andrea. So just stop me whenever you want. But I think about community service and that pivot and doing that. And in between that time, my husband passed, right? So I got on every board there was that accepted me. So I'm on Wayne Metro. I served for years. Starfish. I'm still a board of directors. I'm on a board in Dearborn. I'm a Rotarian. So you just find ways to serve. And out of that, I think about my real shift was when I found out that I had sarcoidosis. And I wasn't going to share that before, but I think I really should because going through life as I have, whether it's changing from a stable income in an auto industry where the wages were good to walking away to do something for your community where the wages were none, right? So living on your pension and moving forward and then finding out that you have a serious health issue. And I don't know if you're familiar with sarcoidosis or not, but it's an autoimmune issue that takes over your lungs, your brain, your heart, and other things. And it begins to try to shut your system down. But being who I am in faith, I just believed God for my healing. So, of course, I got on lots of steroids, the prednisone, and all of those things. And I did well for a while and just continued with the work that I do with nonprofit. But later, I found out that it was attacking the heart. So I've been on some chemo for that and working with that. But at the same time, I find joy in the work itself and in what happens with those that I'm allowed to connect with. So just like James and Anna and so many sons and daughters I have, if you really just followed me for a day, you would think I had 800 children and thousands of brothers and sisters. But I'm gonna stop and let you just kind of with the conversation because I've been all over the place. Like whether you talk ministry, you talk nonprofit work, you talk community outreach, and not just Inkster and not just Wayne County, because I also serve on the governor's board for Laura. So it's just so many different opportunities to bring joy into a space because I'm thinking about your story and your commitment and your shift and how it's such a blessing. And you may find the forever home for me and my son. So it's just, okay, God, how do we be intentional with sharing love with one another? And that is really where I feel as though I thrive. It's when I'm very intentional on every single day. I tried to do that with a diet and with exercise and with eating right, and my intentionality failed. But for loving people and sharing who we really can be as humanity, I thrive. I believe that's the reason that I am 70 and will be 71 in November, but I can run and hang with my 8 year old Gabby girl. So, it's good. It's really good to get this opportunity for other people to hear that we can be the difference. We can be the magnifier of joy in one another's life. We really can walk into a space and there will be people waiting for us to brighten their day with our love and light.
I am getting a little teary eyed over here because I always say this. I've said it so many times in my episodes, but God's timing is so real. Like, there is totally a reason that we were supposed to talk this morning because just yesterday, and I've talked about this on my podcast before too. I'm sure many of us go through this, but just yesterday, I'm thinking, am I fulfilling my purpose? I'm constantly thinking that. And God always reminds me, your son needs you. Your
Yeah.
son needs you. You can't do a regular 9 to 5 job because like yesterday I had all kinds of plans. I had all these things written down and I didn't get to any of them because he woke up at 9 a.m. and needed me the whole day. Now
Yes.
he's pretty independent. He's 15. He's got his own mind. He can do a lot of things on his own, but he's full time in a wheelchair. So he needed a shower. We needed to get some labs drawn yesterday. Like there were all these things that he had planned and I needed to adhere to all of that. We needed to take care of him first. So God was saying, this is your plan. This is what you're supposed to be doing right now. So keep going with it. But I do think when it comes to our own selves, it's always hard to be real intentional what we need to do for ourselves. So
Yeah.
I get what you're saying there. We always want to do things for others, but we need to recognize what we're supposed to be doing and how we're supposed to be doing that. So just hearing you speak just really, really clicks with me a lot more this morning, just because of how I was thinking yesterday. And everything you said about joy, that's so something I try to preach to everybody. Go after your joy because you don't know what tomorrow brings at all.
Yeah. Yeah. And it costs nothing, right? That's the part that we know it's real and that it matters because those are the things that don't come with an expense. I can be kind to you forever and it costs me nothing. And that's what I share with so many young people. Look, you can light every candle in this room and yours don't dim. But who we are together, right? We can light up the world. And I know we kind of feel like, oh, that's way out there in the clouds. I'm living in this world. Everything's happening so fast. That's my sons. They're like, Mom, every day there's breaking news, right? And having men with the male perspective all the time, you really want to be the one that says, okay, let's shift. I love how you said what sometimes we think of things as adversity, as negative, but if we think of it as a pivot,
Mm-hmm.
because the way our children are, and I have a son that he suffers mental health is chasing him, right? Some of these crises, they're after our families. I don't know if it's diet, I don't know what's happening, but we see it everywhere. And so what I have learned is the way we are made is fearful and wonderful. Right. And it doesn't matter if it doesn't come with the norm that we have seen as our should have been our what's the word we always use? It's normal, right?
Mm-hmm.
If enough of us do it, then we say it's okay. Right. So how we all live, if we all wanted the picket fence back in my day and the 3-bedroom little cute little place with some flowers, it was okay. But we find out that a condo in this world and places and spaces that people live across the globe is also okay. And so my point being, our children may not be like everybody thought. And if we really look at all of them, I have a grandson who's an architect who his fiance is in med school, right? And that would be what we think is all the great American dream. But my dream for them both is a life where they can be considerate and kind, love one another, because I know that gives you long life, right? It really brings longevity to you as a person. And if we could get one another back in that space, Andrea, where we really care about one another and that we spend the time to say, okay, this is different. It's not like how I grew up with 14 kids, and it can't be if you had two to split the cereal with compared to 14 in one box, right?
Right.
It's just going to be different, but it doesn't make you different, right?
Right.
And that's the part that we have to get because things are different. It doesn't mean that you're not full of love, you're not full of light. You can be as full of kindness, generosity. All of those things could readily be available for all of us if we look for that in one another. But if we look for hatefulness and discord, we'll find that. The one thing I've learned as a wisdom carrier for real is what you look for, you find. End of story. Whatever you look for, you will find it. So we have the right to look for the best in one another.
Yeah, I mean, you can get a diagnosis like you have or a diagnosis like my son has, and you can say, "Why me? This is awful. Life is never gonna look good again.
That's right.
How are we gonna get through it?" Or you can say, "Okay, what's the new path? How
Yeah,
do we create joy? How do we give my son the best life we possibly can?" Now, is he still a 15-year-old child
of
who
course.
fights with us sometimes? Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
but we still try to you're right, I don't like the word normal, but we still try to create the best life we can for him in his way and how he fits into this world, and he's taught me that without even knowing it.
Yeah. And that's the best experience, right? And think about what we sort of thought we had to have, which was a stable job, the money, the lifestyle, whatever that may be, right? compared to what we really have received now. Because I honestly look at life differently because I have a defibrillator and a pacemaker and something trying to be aggressive towards my heart. Things that probably would have mattered if I did not have these things. I would be somewhere worried with foolishness, right? And things like that rolls off my back like water on a duck. I don't even think about some of the things that I know if I didn't really respect the time I have now and respect the relationships I have now, right? Because you shift. You're like, no, I will not sweat if the drawer is left open or or if I close the window with the air on in the house,
Right.
right? I just don't sweat that because Gabby's 8 and I want her to remember her grandmother as a person of love and not one fussing all the time about things left out of order. What a
Hmm.
horrible choice, right? You remember grandma as walking by with a smile and a hug, or grandma like, close the windows. Right. And sometimes you feel like that with DTE and these rates. But at the
That's
same
true.
time, you make the choice like 15, hey, all 15-year-old boys are the same.
Right.
You know, whether they run super fast or they sit and wait for you to move them. 15-year-old boys are 15-year-old boys. And what a great joy that your
Hmm.
son is with you and your hubby and his brother, right? Those are the big joy pictures. My nephew, we were all on a family vacation in Miami and we got a phone call. It was the girls. We were there and my nephew had been shot. And he's the same age as Daniel. He's 31 and he's been in a wheelchair for the last few years. And it's a big shift, right? It's a big shift for everyone involved. But I think the biggest thing is my sister, when we were all there, she was like, God, if you spare his life, I'll take care of him. And that brings joy to all of us because we understand the other choice was he wasn't here. So once you really understand that doing a little extra, that and not even extra, we're just doing something that others aren't doing because we're always using that time, right? There's never a time that we're not doing something. But we're just so very thankful that Damon is here, that we all get to love on him, that we all get a chance to experience our lives without the road that we think is so easy, because there's absolutely nothing wrong with the opportunity to be grateful. And with that comes some controversy, right? Because who's grateful for what you have all the time? When was the last time we really stopped and said, boy, do I appreciate oxygen? We can't
Right.
live without it, but we take it for granted, right? And that happens when things are just there in abundance and it's necessary for sure. Can't live without it for sure. But once you are on an oxygen machine or a doctor tells you that your lungs are only at 30%, then all of a sudden you are very grateful for H, the 2, and the O.
Right,
Really,
right.
it's
You
just I have
spot
boundaries.
on. Yeah, I mean, I think about it every day I take my dog for a walk and I'm just walking along. I don't need anything to help me walk.
Yes,
My son can't do that. He'll come with us, but he's in his chair. He
yeah,
can't move his legs like I can. He can't go to the top of the stairs and run down as fast as we do because our phone's ringing or something and we don't
yeah,
even touch the railings.
yes,
Like to think about that, that I so take that for granted that I can just get up and go walk wherever I want to go.
yeah.
Yeah.
And as a result of those uncomfortable moments, we all find an opportunity for gratitude. And in our lives, people are looking and we think we're the ones that's doing fine. And they're thinking, wow, I don't have a defibrillator and a pacemaker. I'm not on chemotherapy. I am grateful. So if I am the one that others get a chance to say, she's the example where I get to thank God for my life, for my lungs, for my deep breath, right? Then I'm okay with that, right? I'm okay with things not being perfect and others getting to say thank you as a result of what I carry. And so as a mom, I want to tell you thank you, because when my 15-year-olds were trying to sneak out of windows and sneak guns and all, you, you don't have to worry with that, right? You get the joy of knowing where he is at 15. And everything really is, Andrea, perspective. It really is perspective. What a great opportunity to sharing what we have in life. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of the conversation. Tell me
Well,
this. So you started just saying, God, how do I share more love in these kind of spaces? And you get so many people that you talk to, and you really do get to hear all of these conversations and to be literally transformed in such a different way. And I know that's what you want from for your listeners, right? That every one of them, like us today, there's some transformation that happened. But how do we get back to you and tell you? Do we put something in a chat? I mean, how do people tell you how blessed they are by this? Because I'm feeling really blessed just hearing you this morning.
well, I love that you're saying that because as most of us, I mean, podcasting, any kind of business, real estate, anything that we're doing, we want to share with more people and we want people to say, "Oh, I need to listen to that." So, I do have to keep learning how to differentiate and how to put it out there and how to reach more people. But I have a website and people
Okay.
can go on there and share. But one of the things that I learned in some of my trying to study how to do better podcasting. Somebody said, put something in there that asks your listeners to do something. So I love that you just said that. Like, listeners, this is a challenge for you. This is an ask of you. After you listen to this episode, we want to hear how you're blessed. We want to hear more of what Jean is saying with us today. How are some of the things she's brought up connected with you? How have they impacted you? How do you feel blessed like she's sharing today? So I do like putting something out there for the listeners to take, like a little homework after the episode.
Yeah.
And they can do that on my website or they wherever they listen to this. There's always opportunities to review, put comments. I'm all over social media, so people should know that they could direct message me or reach out that
Oh,
way
so
as
you could
well.
DM. Okay, so I'll
Yeah,
have to
they
do
could
that.
definitely do that. But I love that you're saying that, and that makes me feel so good because to your point, I wanted to share my story, but more importantly, I want to hear from others.
Yeah.
And there's been so many guests that say, "Wait, you want me on your podcast? What am I going to talk about?"
Yeah.
And I say, "Whatever's on your heart. It doesn't matter. It could be something very deep, it could be something very surface level, but we're all going to learn something because you took what you've been through and you learned from it.
Right.
So, bring it to us. Let us hear it." I don't think people recognize that they can teach everybody something even if they don't think it's that grandiose of a lesson.
And
So,
that is the truth, right? And whether we think it's small or large, the reality is in this vast world, and especially since we have the opportunity for people everywhere to hear what you're saying today, there will be someone who will say, "Wow, my life is amazing. The love that I get to share and the people I get to share it with, they're waiting for it, and their lives will be affected forever." And that sounds so large, but the reality really is every single person we touch, they will touch others and they will all be impacted, right? So if we're intentional about touching in a kind and loving way, it's hard to be mean and nasty. If on purpose I'm trying to be kind and I'm trying to be intentional with my kindness. And when you leave the space from me, I want you to feel a certain way. I don't want you to feel as though you were just ran over by a steam truck. I don't want you to feel harmed when you leave my presence. And if I wake up with that, that brings such a level of joy to me, right? Okay, today when I talk to Andrea, understand her world isn't like mine, but at the same time, it's exactly like mine. And when I leave her presence, I want her to say, wow, that was easy with Pastor Jean. I can feel she genuinely care about this conversation and that she was very intentional that whoever hears it understand that when they walk in the room with their family, they have the right for their family to know how much you love them. And circumstances always try to take that out of the picture. but I love them and I don't want them to feel any other kind of way.
That is exactly it. It's exactly what I'm trying to do every single day.
Well, you're doing a good job. Really,
Thank
because I
you.
just I just feel so much love in this conversation. And I know it hasn't been easy, Andrea, and it won't be easy tomorrow, but I am very confident you'll do it well because your whole purpose, you shifted everything so that your son would know he's loved. And I'm sure it's not just him. I'm sure your husband and your other's son and everybody you touch, they have to feel it because I do. I genuinely feel that this morning you didn't know your expectation. But let me tell you, young lady, I feel the love of God resonating in this conversation. And I am so thankful that you allowed me to be a part of it. And that everybody that I touch the rest of this day, I will tell them about you and I will tell them to be very intentional with how we love our families. Because as we look at breaking news, we see it's not being shared, but we also know it can be. It can be. And this world can shift. It can really shift. And in our generations, we can show the rest of eternity what it can really look like when you operate differently. We don't need a bunch of stuff to be nice.
Like you said, it's free.
Yeah, this is good, Andrea. This is so
No,
good.
thank you. I know.
This is
Thank you so much. Well,
Mhm.
I do want to know, and I want my listeners to know. So, you mentioned Inkster for anyone that's listening outside of Michigan. If you don't know Michigan well, you're probably not going to hear somebody talk about Inkster. You're
True.
not going to hear that. You're not going to hear that city much. But if you live in Michigan, you know it's just a small city. It's
Yeah,
I mean within the Detroit suburbs, but it's maybe 30 minutes away from Detroit, so it's not right next door. But um, it's a small city, but boy, you're making such an impact in that little location in Michigan.
yeah.
But where do people find you? How do people
So,
follow
so we
you?
really are operationrefuge.org is our website for the organization. And then I'm just Velma Jean Overman on Facebook. And I do have like thousands of followers too. So please share information about you. I would love for people to get to hear you and the other podcasts. So I'm going to put that out. But really, I just serve in Wayne County and in the state of Michigan and just um, social media, Velma Jean Overman. I'm on there.
Okay.
So on LinkedIn and others, but I'm with you on that. I am with you. I'm just so very grateful that we can take and share. You think you said about God's perfect timing, but who would have thought that you were with Ken? So I'm trying to remember what you guys were watching on television. But when I was a girl, the Jetsons had a television and Rosie
Yep.
would be able to talk. But literally we're doing that. So around the world, and I need us all to begin to think of sharing out of our small spaces this great love that we carry to the entire globe. Because when the kids went to the UN, the CB Japan had us on. So think about that. We took a group of kids from Inkster and some college students from around. Not only did we go with a Nobel Peace Prize winner, and they presented on disarming nuclear weapons. Like there's no reason to still be doing that to one another. Nowhere for any reason.
No.
And our kids were on the news in Japan. So what am I saying? I'm saying your podcast can share this amazing experience of love and light to the entire planet, right? They'll change the language. They can do it all. AI can do anything you need to have done. And if people get to experience what we're feeling right now, Andrea, I believe we can be a part of that ripple effect that changes things. And who would think that, right? I'm sure when Ballmer and when Bill Gates and they all were in those garages, they didn't think they would have world impact. But my dear, what you have, the world is in need of. They really need it. Mothers everywhere need it. Women everywhere need what you're saying. We literally need this. And I haven't cried so much in the morning.
I know.
I haven't. But
To
thank
your
you.
point.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. To your point, this is one of sometimes I'll get ready to do an interview and I'll think, well, I know the person, I know everything they've been through, I know what they're going to talk about, I know how this is going to go. And I'll kind of have an idea of the flow. And I don't know, I was really busy this weekend. Like I said, last weekend I went away with my son, and then the couple of days leading up till today, like I had so many other things going on, and I just felt, wow, I didn't really prepare for this. Where are we going to go? What are we going to talk about? I really don't know her that well. Am I going to come across as unprofessional? Like, what is going to happen with this? And I probably just worried a little too much. But then look at us. We're having this great conversation. I feel
Yes.
so connected to you and so moved. And yeah, I was crying at 9:40 in the morning as
Yes.
well. And again, James doesn't even know me that well, but he said, you should have this woman on your podcast. It's going to be great. And I thought, okay, yeah, I trust you. Awesome. I'll reach out to her. And I really had no way of knowing what direction we were going to go in, but very, very meaningful this morning and something I needed.
Yeah. And that's what divine appointments look like, right? It's just divine. It should have happened. It had to happen because even as we are blessed, it's like water coming through, right? Everybody that gets an opportunity to be touched will be blessed. And I'm just so thankful. I'm very thankful for this.
I'm thankful as well. I'm thankful for you being open, and I'm definitely going to follow you and check out Operation Refuge. Actually, this week, Monday, I went to this event. Another woman that is in the same networking group as James and me, she and another colleague started this Power of 100 for women. And I think that it is not new. I think it's something that's out there maybe in other areas, or maybe they read about it or heard about it. But the idea is every quarter they try to bring 100 women together, and each woman is supposed to bring $100.
Oh,
So
wonderful.
if you had 100 women, $100, that's a great chunk of money to go to a local charity of choice. This last one on Monday, they had two charities, so $50 to each one. And I live in Canton area, so one of them was a clothing
Okay.
bank
Okay.
for people within the community, the school district that maybe don't have the means to get new clothes, to be able to feel comfortable around their peers. So they take clothes in and they give them to kids in the community. And then the other was Forever Families, which was about adoption and foster
Oh,
services, but again,
wonderful.
a local organization. So you're making me really think about your organization. I'm going to do some research because there was also the opportunities to suggest ones for the
Thank you.
future.
Thank
And you are local
you.
to us as well. So
Yes.
I'm really glad that we met this week because you're making me think of the Power of 100.
Thank you.
So
That is
yeah.
awesome. And just mentioning adoption, because we've been working with the state of Michigan and the Michigan Roundtable on doing things for adoption. So please connect me
Oh,
with
I
the
will
group
for
that's
sure.
doing work with adoption because I would
Okay.
love to be a part of that. That is another extension of my heart, is those that we feel as though they should be left behind for whatever the reason. And how do we support adoption? So
Mhm.
thank you
So
for
see,
giving.
another reason, there's all kinds of reasons we were supposed to be connected.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I
Yeah.
never think anything is arbitrary. I just don't believe in coincidences. I know that if we are in a space together, that God Himself is working something out and that we have the
Yes.
opportunity to serve. So thank
Yes.
you. Thank you
Of
so much. And you
course.
have such a
Of
beautiful
course.
smile.
Thank you. See, we do get to see each other.
Yes.
The listeners don't see us, but we get to see each other.
Yeah.
So, I promised you I wouldn't take up too much of your time, and I know you've got something coming
Yes.
up. But before we end, you have, again, you are community wisdom carrier. Do you have anything else that you really would like our listeners to take from today's conversation?
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Well, my life is proof that it's never too late to change, right? I'm 70 and I'll be 71. And after 50, I did a million different things. And I feel as though just being open to serve helps. And so whether the governor calls to be on a board or the local board wants me to help with picking up trash as a Rotarian, I'm there. So to lead and to serve, whether a pulpit or the street or at the UN, right? I'm just very thankful to do it. And every time I have the opportunity, I want to make sure that I bring certain things in that space that I'm in. And that is the fact that I came from a lot of love. My mother had me at 14 years old, right? And what do you do as a child with a child? You can only do one thing, love. And so out of that, I learned how to serve in love. And that is our entire ministry's mission statement: serving in love and loving to serve.
I love that so much. I'm sorry, you should see my notes.
Thank
They're all
you.
over the place.
Thank you,
But
Andrea. Thank you.
of
From
course,
the
thank
bottom of my
you.
heart, thank you.
Thank you so much. I know that my listeners are going to learn so much from today. And wow, just so meaningful this morning. It was meant to be. I'm so grateful that we connected and we're going to stay connected and
Yes.
we're gonna keep chatting. But
Yes.
yeah, I just appreciate you so much for being here and cannot wait to drop this episode. Thank you to James, a little plug there for James Allen for introducing the two of us.
Yes.
And yeah, please go out and just bring all of that love and joy. This is a message to all the listeners to do that, but Jean,
Yes.
you bring it. Boy, do you bring it. It just
Thank
exudes
you.
through
You
you.
too.
It's like when you see the sun in the sky and you see those rays come down.
Yeah. Thank
I
you.
always think that's God's, like he's showing us himself there. And that's what you are. I can see the rays coming off of you
Thank
as we're
you.
talking today. And it just was such a blessing to have you on the show.
Thank you, Andrea. Peace and love to you.
You too.
God bless.
Thank you for joining me for the Show Me the Way podcast. I truly appreciate you tuning in to today's episode about overcoming adversity and finding your path. I hope it brought you new insights, empowered you with perspective, and inspired you to find joy in your journey. If this episode touched your heart, don't forget to leave a quick review as it will help us reach and motivate more people. Until next time, keep seeking the light and showing the way.